We are pleased to welcome you live to Daytona as CBS Sports coverage of Speed Weeks continues with the Bud Shootout on a beautiful day for auto racing. NASCAR's Winston Cup drivers will be in competition for the first time this year in this invitation-only all-star event. Hi everyone, I'm Greg Gumbel from above Victory Lane at Daytona International Speedway. Now what do you get when you take the fastest drivers, all the pole winners from last season, and put them together in one 25-lap race? A shootout, and that's what last year's race was. Let's take you back 1 year to the Bud Shootout. Jeff Gordon in the number 24 car, the Winston Cup champion, in the lead early on, but this race was not without its mishaps. That's Ward Burton hitting the wall on lap 22. Then in lap 24, Bobby Labonte and Joe Nemechek touched, brought out another caution flag. Then the restart. With 1 lap to go, Jeff Gordon had transmission problems on that restart, and he just wasn't a factor. When it came to the finish line, the sprint to the finish was won by Rusty Wallace. And Wallace, victorious then, hopes to be victorious again here this afternoon. Joining me now in his 35th year, 35 years here in Daytona, is Ken Squire. Is this race important, Ken?
Oh, you bet it is. This is the skirmish, Greg, that really gives you an idea about what we can expect when we get down to the big battle of the Great American Race, 41st Annual Daytona 500 next Sunday. This is the first time we've really seen most of these cars in race trim. Up until now, it's been a couple of months getting ready for 2 laps yesterday to decide who is going to be on the pole. Now they're ready to go for it. And this race has a lot of money. $500,000, pays $100,000 to win for about 15 minutes work. It's a little different than some races you see. There's a period here for a pit stop between laps 10 and 12. The cautions, they do not count. Those are technical laps. So it's all race, pure race here. And you're going to see these guys go for it from top to bottom in this event. 14 that qualified by being the fastest qualifiers last year at Winston Cup events. And we just completed a consolation round that was a beauty on this racetrack. The 15 drivers from second round qualifying got after it. And we had Jeff Bodine bring them down with Robert Presley alongside in that blue car. He was to be a factor for the entire 25 laps, 62.5 miles. But there's the guy, Mike Skinner, busting through on the bottom of the racetrack, going into first place. The automatic pit stop at lap 10. And you see the 2 principals off pit road. You talk about being tight together. You couldn't tie these guys any tighter together as they came down. They weren't going to give up first spot. Caution, 19th lap. Lap didn't count. A little bit of debris on the track set up the finish. And as they came to the line, it was Skinner first, Presley second. That yellow car from 13th spot. Young Steve Park is back. But it was Mike Skinner successful out here in the Consi, and he moved to the last spot in this 25 lap, 62.5 mile go that we're just about ready for.
I believe early on you said, watch Mike Skinner, keep an eye on him. If you were with us yesterday here on CBS, you saw live Jeff Gordon capture the pole position for the 1999 Daytona 500 and become the first entrant in the next millennium Bud Shoot 2000. He captured the first Daytona 500 pole with a speed of 195.067 miles an hour. He bumped Tony Stewart, the reigning Winston Cup champion, seeking his second Daytona 500 win. He won it in 1997. He's standing by with our Dick Berggren. Dick.
Thanks, Greg. Jeff Gordon has run this event 5 times. He's won it twice. Jeff, what will it take to win this race today?
But it's going to take a fast race car, which we have. But, you know, getting into position, I pretty much knew that Skinner had a fast race car, and, you know, he did a great job in that last race. I think it's going to be tough in this one, too. But there's a whole lot of other guys that we got to think about. But, you know, I'm just going to see how this line shakes out. I think I can do more if I get in the inside lane and make some more moves that way. But my guys have given me a really fast race car. It's just what I can do with it and how good of a pit stop we have.
Good luck today, Jeff. Terrell Shaheen.
Rusty Wallace drew the #1 starting slot for today's race, but a miscommunication led to him missing driver introductions. That means that once the field gets rolling, Rusty's going to have to go from the big front of the field to the very back of the field. Crew Chief Robin Pemberton is here along with Todd Parrott, crew chief for Dale Jarrett, who is also at the back of the field. We're going to see if we can find out if there's a possibility maybe these two teams are hooking up for a drafting situation where Rusty can pull his way back up to the front of the field. Let's find out here. Rusty, you going to try to work with Dale Jarrett to come back up?
Yeah, I'm going to work with everybody I can. I just made a major mistake, and I apologize to everybody, but hey, stuff like that happens, and I started 13th, I think, last year, won this thing. We're going to have a good pit stop, and this thing's running good, so learn from my mistakes.
Greg, remember, this is the same car that Rusty won the race with last year. If he can pull it off again today, and become only the third man in shootout history to win it back-to-back.
Ralph, thank you. We'll take a time out here. More to come from the Bud Shootout when we come back to Daytona International Speedway in just a moment. Welcome back to Daytona, Florida. We told you it was a beautiful day here in the state of Florida. Take a look at just how beautiful it is. The forecast is for a sunny day. The temperature right now is 67 degrees. Not much wind to talk about. The track temperature at 92 degrees. That'll go up a little. The car temperature is right now 89 degrees. That figures to go up a lot. Speaking of going up, let's go way upstairs to the gentleman who will call the race. Here's Mike Joy. Mike.
Thanks, Greg. We welcome you to Daytona. Now, you and Ken have described this as a shootout or a skirmish. Those are controlled exercises. This is a street fight. It's a brawl. And let me ask our CBS race strategist, two-time Winston Cup champion Ned Jarrett, just how do you win this thing?
Well, certainly you don't wait. You don't have any strategy. You don't wait for the field to sort itself out or to see what other drivers might have. You got to, when you see an opening, you got to go for it. It's flat out from the start to finish. Sort of like a Saturday night race at a local short track.
Yes, and just about as long, only 25 laps. Let's bring in the 81 winner of the Busch Clash. 10 years ago, a very emotional Daytona 500 victory for Darrell Waltrip. And today, if you're out there in the midst of that pack, you know you can go, you can run faster than you can in the middle, but how do you get to the front?
Well, the whole thing is, Mike, this is like the worst airplane ride you've ever been on. Folks, you're bouncing, you're getting buffed around, and all you can do is reach up, pull those seat belts real tight, and hang on. Forrest, where do you want to be? Well, conventional wisdom says you want to be out front. Quite frankly, I never went for conventional wisdom. I believe I'd make my move before that last lap because it just never works. So shake up the field, make a move early, and get out front.
All right, we'll see if that strategy pays off. Let's go trackside for the command.
To get the Bud Shootout at Daytona underway, once again, please welcome the Grand Marshal of the Bud Shootout at Daytona, John Mercer.
Drivers, start your engines.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway for the Bud Shootout. Here's the way they'll line up, the way they drew for starting positions Thursday morning. Defending champion of this race, Rusty Wallace, drew the pole position. Kenny Irwin, who won the pole at Atlanta in November, outside pole. Row number 2, Rick Mass scored at Rockingham, and Ken Schrader, two-time winner of the shootout. 1990 Daytona 500 winner Derek Cope makes his first appearance here since '91. In this race, Ricky Craven won a pole in his comeback at New Hampshire last fall. Jeremy Mayfield, Texas pole winner, second start in this race. Jeff Gordon had 7 poles last year. He's won the shootout twice. Row 5, Bobby Labonte looking for his first top 10 finish in this sprint. And Bobby Hamilton earns his first start in the shootout. Row number 6, Ward Burton had 2 poles last year. It's his 5th start in this race. And Ernie Urban, also a 2-time pole winner, in his 7th Bud Shootout. Mark Martin makes his 12th start in this race. He had 3 poles last season. And Dale Jarrett came from 17th to win it here in 1996. They're both in Fords. Finally, Mike Skinner, whose victory in the qualifying race just minutes ago gained him the final spot, the last transfer spot into his 2nd shootout. They're on the pace lap here at Daytona. CBS Sports coverage of the Bud Shootout at Daytona continues after this message and a word from your local station. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. We're cinched up and ready to go racing, and so are those 15 drivers you see entering turn 3 with 1 pace lap to go. Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR, and the Bud 1 Airship, proud to provide these spectacular shots of the 21st annual Bud Shootout.
Mike, this is a 2.5-mile racetrack. 31 degrees in the banking as they come off of turn 4. and they'll go into 18 degrees of banking through the tri-oval here. When they get to the start finish line, it's 18 degrees there, and then on the back stretch, only 6 degrees of banking. And looking at the field for today, there are 7 Fords in the field, 4 Pontiacs, and 4 Chevrolets.
We'll also have a number of our CBS race cams in use here today. We'll have 5 cars in the 15-car field. Race cam mounted. You're looking out the back of Rick Mass, Budweiser Ford out of the Cale Yarborough Motorsports Complex. Carrying our Bud cam. Jeff Gordon, Winston Cup champion, starting from 8th position. Number 24. New look for Ward Burton's car this year. That's our Siemens in-car camera in the Bill Davis Racing Pontiac for Ward. Ernie Irvan also has a new paint scheme this year, inside and out of his Pontiac. He will start in 12th position. And coming from the back row, that's Dale Jarrett. He's starting in 14th position in his Robert Yates Racing Ford. So 15 cars for 25 laps for $500,000 with a mandatory pit stop under the green flag between laps 10 and 12. Let's go to pit road. Dick Berggren.
It's a big difference between a qualifying setup and a race setup, and most of the teams have chosen to go with something that they can race with, even though a qualifying setup is a bit faster. And that faster qualifying setup means it's much, much harder to hang on to the car. Rick Mast, starting on the pole, has gone with something somewhere between the two, all the way at the back of the pack. Dale Jarrett's got a race setup on it. We'll see which one of those works best. Let's go to Ralph.
I spoke to crew chief Ray Evernham earlier this morning, the crew chief for Jeff Gordon. He says the most stressful thing he's ever done is get a car that he knows is good enough to qualify on the pole and to spend 2 days with it. That's out of the way. They won the pole yesterday. Today he said, I'm ready to go racing. This car with this setup is one that they're ready to race with.
One of the unique aspects of this race is there are no points to count. The Pointer sisters are not in this field. This is a go for it, take the money to the bank kind of race.
Yeah, and it really is. It's the first time these guys have been in competition against each other since last November. And so there's some nerves. There's a little edgy here, and everybody's got to kind of feel each other out. And you don't have a lot of time to do that. So you got to pick up the pace to immediately get it done in a hurry, right, Ned?
Yes, if they see an opening, they got to go for it. You take chances in this race that you would not take next week in the Daytona 500.
Momentum is hard to build at full speed. Can a driver starting in back time the start and gain a little momentum and come to the front?
Oh, by all means. It's like wake turbulence. When all those cars are in front of you, they make a huge wake in the air. And these cars are so aerodynamically sensitive today that, man, that little bit of disturbance in the air, and it can really give you a big suck to the front.
And we've seen Dale Earnhardt here in the past. He's not in the race today for one of the first few times, but we've seen him go from last on the first lap to first. So, you know, it can be done if you get the right brake.
All right, let's get down to it, Ned. The Pontiac Grand Prix safety car makes a left turn to pit road. And the 21st annual Bud Shootout coming up through the gears, 15 cars strong for $500,000. Green flag. Nice clean start as they roll off into turn one. Now that Ford number 98 of Rick Mast, that's a Thunderbird rather than the new Taurus body style. Here comes Kenny Irwin around the outside.
Yeah, and look at Jeremy Mayfield in car number 12, making it 3 wide coming off of turn 2, picked up a draft and trying to head to the front.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that think that Thunderbird might be a little bit slicker in the wind, and so that's why some of them continue to run that car. 3 wide in the middle of the east banking, turns 3 and 4, and that center car gets squeezed like a hot dog out of the bun to the back. But there's no substitute. We talk about aero and springs and all this. There's no substitute for horsepower here. That makes a big, big difference.
And that car that just took the lead, the 28 of Kenny Irwin, has some of the horsepower. Robert Yates engines, among the best.
Yeah, they are. And I hear the big numbers in those engines to be as restricted as they are. So Irwin is the leader. Right behind him, Kenny Schrader, same car as last year, but the car is blue this season, or rather for just this Bud Shootout. On the inside lane, number 98 is Rick Mast, number 12, Jeremy Mayfield.
Mast got a good run off of turn 2 and just shot right back up the side of her.
Yeah, now folks, this might look like they're having fun. You might think this is what racing's all about. I'm telling you right now, you're sitting there on the edge of your seat holding on for all you got.
looks like the world's fastest pace lap as they come off turn number 4. Mast at the point, and here's Mayfield on the bottom. He's drawn even with Kenny Irwin for second.
Well, he's got a good helper there, Bobby Labonte right there with him, and that's a good push, but they're doing some moving back there behind them.
Boy, Gordon, look at him making it 3 wide going into the turn.
That's what Ned was talking about, Mike. You've got to, when there's an opening, you got to take it, even though it might be with left wheels on the apron. You got to do it.
In the Daytona 500, Jeff Gordon would not have made that move.
Oh, no. Here he goes again to the inside of Bobby Labonte. 3 wide, middle of the backstretch, and he moves up toward Mayfield.
Now they're 4 wide right there.
Oh, gosh, they are.
That usually doesn't work very good.
Look at that 31 car. Mike Skinner has come from last on the grid right up into the thick of the lead battle.
Well, it's easy to explain for him. His heart rate is back down where it should be because he's had a little practice. These other guys just got started.
3 by 3 mid-pack coming down through the tri-oval. Squeeze play on Bobby Labonte. He's right in the middle of those 2 conga lines either side.
Remember I was talking about worst airplane ride you've been on? That's the 3 seats right there, and you're the middle.
You're the middle seat.
And the guys beside you beating you to death.
Now Mark Martin's trying to work with him, and that number 6 car now to the inside goes Martin. Rusty Wallace is his drafting partner. Riding with Ernie Irvin. Right behind Jeff Gordon. Ernie's up next to Skinner.
Yes, says which one of these cars do I need to follow? Gordon probably is picked.
Well, those are the 2 best cars in the field, I do believe, the 24 and the 31, because they have made some big moves right here, and they're continuing to.
Get a look at Ernie Irvin's in-car telemetry from Circuit City, showing just about 6,600 RPM, 186 miles an hour, and it doesn't show the paint that was just traded between Skinner and Gordon.
I don't think that battle's over with either.
No.
Folks, that's at 190 miles an hour that they're banging into each other. Trust me, they're not doing that on purpose. Those cars are just sucking into each other.
Now, folks, you hear about the numbers of 8,000, 8,500 RPMs in these NASCAR Winston Cup cars, but not on the restrictor plate engines. They don't turn those kind of RPMs. You see there's less than 7,000. Now, they get up to those RPMs on tracks where they don't have restrictor plates, but not at Daytona.
Boy, you saw Irvin have to lift because he got Rusty Wallace around one side, and then he got sandwiched. Mark Martin came by Irvin on the high side of the racetrack. There's Irvin in that yellow car behind Bobby Labonte, and they're cheering Rusty Wallace toward the front. He's coming in that number 2.
Yeah, well, Rusty had the preferred position before they started the race. Then he had to go to the back. So he's probably got the bid out right now, and he's letting her go.
He was at 7th place, and now that inside line fades just a little bit. 5 laps complete. Pit stops mandatory. You can take them anytime between lap 10 and lap 12.
But you notice Jeff Gordon, he was low. He was down low working the inside. All of a sudden he says, okay, that's not going anywhere. Let me go to the outside now. That's probably the spotter and Ray and them helping him some too.
And what's happening here that the outside groove is working better as the tires get heated up a little bit. Then they can move the cars up to the higher side of the racetrack. Most of the time that's the best place to be after the tires heat up.
Biggest gain thus far, Mark Martin started way deep in the field, and he's now come on up to what for this moment is 5th place. We're making 4th as he comes around the outside, trailing that 3-car line on the outside. Now there's Martin on the right corner of your screen behind number 24, Jeff Gordon.
It's amazing to me how the great drivers they just have a sense about a knack to be in the right place at the right time to make the right moves.
We're watching from the Bud cam on Rick Mast, number 98. There is number 6. And boy, 2, 3 wide down the backstretch once again. Let's check with Ralph.
Mike, Darrell, you're exactly right. The crew for Jeff Gordon has been telling him where the openings are. They're leaving it up to Jeff to actually decide which way he wants to go. They'll tell him clear high, clear low, you choose, and he's making the decisions.
Well, I promised you a street fight from first to last is only 0.8 of a second.
Well, what you got to remember, too, is that Jeff's got the best pit crew on pit road, and they got to make a pit stop here pretty shortly. So that could be the deciding factor in this particular race.
2 Fords battle for 4th. Mark Martin, Jeremy Mayfield, number 6 and 12. There's Wallace catching a little bit of the apron as he comes around at the bottom of the racetrack in turn 1. He's been to the front and shuffled back once again.
All right, right now what's happening is they're doing a little walk-a-dope. That's kind of like rope-a-dope. They're all kind of laying there right now saying, well, we'll let this thing sort out a little bit and let the pit stop see what happens.
And how about the guy with the lead? Let's mention Kenny Schrader while he still has it. Oops, not anymore. Rick Mast comes around Schrader to the inside and drags Jeff Gordon along with him. Schrader's all alone in that high groove. Bobby Labonte takes over 3rd. Comes Martin and Mayfield. Dick Berggren.
This is an amazing run by Rick Mast in the lead right now. In December, this team didn't even exist. They lost their sponsor. The employees, other than in the engine shop, all left. There's only one guy on this team who's left over from 1998. And look at this. He's out front with an old-style Thunderbird. An amazing run.
Mass Ford, the leader. Gordon in a Chevrolet, Labonte in a Pontiac, Ken Schrader Chevy, and Mark Martin's Ford, the top 5.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that still, like I said, they believe that Thunderbird is a little bit slicker in the wind, and so and Rick's got a great engine. That's the same car that won this race here a couple of years ago with John Andretti.
Coming off the corner, 8 laps complete, 9 coming up, and beginning at 10, they can choose to make those pit stops. Now the field has strung out just a little bit. It's a second and a half from first to last, and a battle for the lead. Jeff Gordon comes on.
It wasn't a battle. No, the battle's when you get side by side. That was just, it blew him off and went on. See what happened to Rick Mast? Look where he is now. And he didn't do anything wrong. That's the frustration of running this kind of race.
What was that you once said? It was a gang fight. My gang didn't show up.
No, you go to a gunfight and you go with a knife, and it ain't even a sharp knife.
You're in trouble.
That's it.
Gordon is the leader as they come down the back straightaway once again. Bobby Labonte's worked his way up there.
Well, that's it. You know, Bobby always runs good here at Daytona, and he didn't qualify that well, but that's because he qualified a car he thinks will race good, and he's right up there in the front again.
That's Bobby in that green number 18 from Joe Gibbs Racing.
He didn't qualify with 193, but here they all come. Here they come, boogity boogity.
Lap 10, and most of the field, all the field will come to pit road, and now it's in the hands of the crews, the 7 men that jump over the wall to service.
Out in the grass.
Here's Ralph.
Well, Jeff Gordon dives down pit road, and he went over the line. They're making him back up, so they're not even having to get to the car yet because Baron Musa Jackman has the car up in the air, and they're waving him off. Big problems for the car here, number 24. Now they're telling him no. Big problems on the pit stop for Jeff Gordon.
Everyone else, with 2 exceptions, have left pit road. Now Derek Cope pulls away, and there's only one other car being serviced. Ricky Craven was late getting into his pit. Trouble on Ernie Irvin's stop. It's a long stop. And the Rainbow Warriors, Ralph, it looks like they're packing it up. He's being held there.
That's a 15-second penalty.
Mike, it's a 15-second penalty. They've got to complete the 15-second penalty before the crew can go back over the wall and go to work on the car. So they are very frustrated. Jeff has radioed to the crew and said the brake pedal went all the way to the floor when he came down pit road, and that's why he slid past the white line. The pit stall is a box. You have to stop within the box. You cannot go out of the box. He slid just maybe half a foot past the white line.
And NASCAR instituted that rule to protect the pit crew in the next pit stall. The driver has to hit his mark, and now Gordon's pulling away.
And he's going to go a lap down.
And the thing about this, we talked about the drivers. This is their first time in competition. Guess what? First time the crews have been in competition this year, too. So they're a little rusty. They got work to do.
After pit stops, Mark Martin's team got him out first. Mike Skinner, who came out of the qualifying race, position second. Jeremy Mayfield third. Fourth is Terry Labonte. Kenny Irwin is fifth. Rusty Wallace is sixth. Dale Jarrett is seventh. Kenny Schrader eighth. Rick Mast is ninth, and Ward Burton 10th. Then it's Bobby Hamilton, Ricky Craven, Derek Cope, and Ernie Irvin. And Jeff Gordon a lap back.
Has anybody ever won the qualifier in the Bud Shootout? I'm not sure, but I think they're going to today.
It could very well happen.
Skinner's got a fast car, and like I say, he's already got 25 laps. He knows what he can do.
Last year was the first time they ran a qualifying race for the second round qualifiers. And Jimmy Spencer won that race and finished fourth in the Bud Shootout.
Yeah.
Well, now the field has broken apart, and the 4 drivers in that front pack can thank their pit crews. Starting with Mark Martin, Jimmy Fennick is his crew chief. Let's check back with Ralph.
Mike, I'm with crew chief Ray Evernham. Ray, what happened to the car? Did the brake pedal go all the way to the floor?
I don't know. The wheels were locked up when it went by us, so just overshot, and then we just didn't get it back in the pits and got a 1-lap penalty. Just one of them deals.
All right, Ray, thank you.
You know, these guys have a lot of trouble in special races. He ran out of gas in the Winston, and last year here in this race he had trouble with the gearbox, and now this.
Well, the fellows that earn the respect of Mark Martin getting to the front include Jimmy Fennick, Sean Parker, Robert Benfield, Dennis Ritchie, Darrell Morrow on that pit stop, and Mike Eric, the Jackman. Here is Jeff Gordon coming into his pit. Crew over the wall going to work, and you can see the nose of that car is over the line. NASCAR inspectors trying to motion him back before they start work.
If he'll push that car back, if the crew would stop and push it back, there's no penalty, but he didn't do it. They made the change, and then that's when the penalty incurs.
Jeff Gordon has taken one slow lap, and he's headed for the garage.
Yeah, he's out. There's no way that he could win this race, and so might as well just park it.
Yeah, there's not enough debris in all these cars to get enough caution to get him back in this race.
The only thing that he would have accomplished would have been to learn something about his chassis setup if he would have been back out there running with the leaders, but he didn't want to get back out there and possibly mess up the race.
No, and he had already taken the lead. I think he knew he could. He's had a pretty good car.
Right.
Now let's point out that most of these drivers are not using the same car they'll run in the Daytona 500. You see Jeff Gordon unhooking the belts in the window net, and he will climb out and be credited with 15th place. Jeremy Mayfield, number 12.
Wow.
With Bobby Labonte.
Wow.
Makes a run on the bottom at Mark Martin's lead position.
Wow.
He looked in his rearview mirror, and I'm sure that his team told him on the radio that Rusty is coming. Dale Jarrett was drafting with Rusty. They were pretty far back, a second or so back. After they came out of the pits, they have run the lead pack down, had a lot of momentum, said pull into that inside lane. They're coming, guys. They'll give you a push.
And the importance is those 2 and 12 cars aren't just painted alike. They are teammates out of the same shop, and they will find each other on the racetrack and work together. Jeremy told us yesterday, I'm looking for Rusty, he's looking for me.
Well, it's working, I can tell you that. And that was something that everybody was concerned about in this race, was that they would get hooked up and work together.
Here comes Mike Skinner back on the outside of that blue and yellow number 31 from Richard Childress Racing.
Oh, this is no right here. When you get 2 cars running side by side, it just slows you down and pulls everybody behind you up to you, but the guys in front of you are just driving off.
He's got some help from Kenny Schrader, also in a Chevy. Now drops low in front of the number 2 of Rusty Wallace. Let's go trackside with Greg Gumbel.
All right, Mike, thank you. Greg Gumbel here above Victory Lane with Bill Elliott, who just ran in the race preceding this, the second round qualifiers. You started to come on towards the end of that race. Did you think you had a chance?
Well, McDonald's drive-through car came on very well there at the end, but we just kind of ran out of time. You know, the thing about a short race is you've got to be able to put the strategy together and be in a position to win the race at the end of the day. And the biggest thing in a short race is you've got to be able to put everything together, make it all count. And the thing of it is, we kind of got shuffled back. I thought Joe was going to go there at the first of the race. Kind of got shuffled back and said, well, we'll make it up on the pit stop. The guys did a good job on the pit stop. We came back out and had a little bit of help from Dick and the Nation's Rent cars there, and we just couldn't make it all the way back to the front. But this is an exciting race. It's a really tough break for Jeff, and ended up freeing it up right there.
Bill, let's go from the short race to next Sunday's long race. We heard the question put to Jeff Gordon prior to the start of the race today about a drafting partner. Have you made any decisions about that for next week?
Well, you just hope you got a good one all day long, you know. And what I saw just the same in the start of the Bud Shootout here is the qualifying race and our race is, you know, the cars kind of, you know, 3 or 4 rows back got 3 and 4 deep. And that's the area you want to stay out of. And that's where things start to happen. You get farther in the race, people get impatient, start making bad decisions, start making mistakes, and you ended up on the truck earlier than you want to be.
Bill, 11 drivers have won this race after leading the halfway lap. You did it in '87. Mark Martin led halfway. What's he got to do to keep the lead right now?
Well, it depends on what I guess Jeremy and the rest of these guys end up trying to do. It's really hard in a position with the way these restrictor plate cars are now. If Rusty can get up there and kind of jumble things up a little bit, it'll put him in a little bit different strategy, but Mark's running awful well right now.
Thanks. Mark Martin is your leader. Jeremy Mayfield is second. And then both in 4. Bobby Labonte's Pontiac, Mike Skinner's Chevrolet, and then Rusty Wallace in a Ford.
You know, Dale Jarrett is trying everything he can to get up there, but he just hadn't been able to make it. I think he's getting up on the outside of Rusty there now. So I think Dale's got a fast car if he can make it up there.
I think he does have, and another guy's got a fast car is Ken Schrader. He has come from pretty far back. He passed both Jarrett and Rusty Wallace, and now is up there in 5th place. So see what he can do with that front foursome.
But Ned, right now, does it look to you as if Mayfield in 2nd place and Labonte in 3rd control this race? Because if neither one of them make a move, can the drivers behind them afford to jump outside?
Well, in this race, you know, if you don't win it, where you finish doesn't mean a whole lot. So you've got to take whatever chance you can to try to put yourself in position.
You know, pretty much everybody in this race is a winner. Everybody feels like they've accomplished a lot just by being here. And they're not. This race is kind of one of those that you just, like Ned said, one guy's going to win it, so be it. Everybody else is going to go in and say, well, we had a good run.
Well, the pack of 4 is now 6 at the front of the field, and 3 more are running them down. from about 10 car lengths back in the middle of the back straightaway. Martin's going to have more than 3 challengers to deal with here.
But I'm telling you, if they wait till the last lap, they'll finish just like they're running. So somebody's got to they got to make up their mind to make a move, and let's get something going here.
Well, Schrader's trying. He's the 5th car in line. He's waiting for Dale Jarrett to come along and push him up there, but they fall in line. They couldn't make the move that they had hoped to make.
And you can catch these cats. I mean, you can run up on them like, man, I got 100 more horsepower than anybody. But when you pull out, your car stops.
Down to the inside, Bobby Labonte, the green car. He's got help from Mike Skinner.
But Jeremy Mayfield closed the gap.
Yeah. Mark Martin has raced here in Winston Cup, in the International Race of Champions, in Grand National, in the qualifying races, and in the shootout. He has never been to victory lane at Daytona in a stock car.
Oh, I think if you asked Mark before this race started, can you win this race, he'd have said, I don't think so. I just want to have a good run. I mean, this is very impressive for Mark to be out front. He doesn't like Daytona and Talladega.
Here comes Schrader down to the inside. Kenny Schrader, 2-time Clash winner. He sat on the pole here, was 3rd in qualifying yesterday with one of the faster Chevrolets here. But he needs some help.
Yeah, he's not going to go anywhere right there. He's got to get, Dale Jarrett's got to get up there and push him, or Skinner won. All he's going to do is just aggravate people.
4 laps to go.
But I give him credit. He's been listening to our telecast, I'm sure, because he's trying, and that's what I like.
He sure is. Watching from Dale Jarrett's car, Mike Skinner just ahead. So close to the front of the field. You could almost walk across the cars to the lead one. So close, and yet so far.
Oh, this is like fishing, man. You got it on the hook, you get it right up the boat, and it falls out.
Aggravating.
It's aggravating because you know if you could just get in front, you could stay there.
Mark Martin's doing a good job of staying there.
Now, Jeremy Mayfield does not have his drafting partner, but the 2nd and 3rd place cars right now are just the way they were with a couple of laps to go in last year's Daytona 500 when Labonte and Mayfield traded paint on the way to the line behind Dale Earnhardt. What Mayfield said if he had it to do over again was he'd make the move sooner. Let's see if he can here. 3 laps to go.
Who's that up on the outside there now? Oh, Schrader.
Made a good move.
Inside, outside. He's a racy kind of guy.
That's my hero right there. Go after him, Kenny. Get on the outside. Worry him to death. I don't think you're going to go anywhere, but keep trying.
Well, Schrader's, is the 31 going with him, or is he going with the 18?
Oh, they ducked back in.
Yeah, ducked back in line.
Well, maybe with that Chevy in front of Labonte's Pontiac, they can do something with Mayfield. Up into the banking, and it'll be 2 to go.
Kenny's got that high line working. Yeah. He's up on that outside, and that's fast.
He's found himself something there.
Come on, buddy. Come on.
But he needs some help, and now Labonte's going to go with him.
He's got to.
Now he's got help. Bobby Labonte lines up behind Schrader. That blue Chevy squeaks into 2nd, and Labonte almost got elbowed into the wall. Here he comes around Mayfield.
Oh, this is
Ralph Shaheen.
Mike, this is the first chassis Andy Petrie Racing ever built, and Kenny Schrader loves it so much that he didn't make any changes to the car at all since it came off the truck. In fact, he didn't even practice this car at all yesterday in the final session. However, we're hearing that it is leaking a little oil out of the back. Mike Skinner has already radioed in and complained about it. So who goes with Kenny Schrader? He's going to have to decide if he wants to follow the oil or not.
Lap and a half to go. No good deed went unpunished. Bobby Labonte helped Schrader up around Mayfield, and look at Labonte. He's now leading the 2nd pack.
But I saw him come from 8th place on the last lap of the night race here back in October and almost won the show. I wouldn't count him totally out. That thing gets up goes on that last lap.
White flag in the wind. 1 lap to go. Mark Martin's Ford, Kenny Schrader's Chevy, Bobby Labonte's Pontiac. Which of them to win it?
Labonte's going to be a factor. Saw him do this very same thing the last lap of the race here. He finished 2nd to Gordon, but he came on hot at the end.
A last lap pass has decided this race 4 times. Dale Earnhardt did it, Neil Bonnet twice, and Rusty Wallace in '98 with a last lap pass. Schrader has a mile to go to try to overhaul the number 6 of Mark Martin. Into the banking on the east side, turn 3 for the final time.
I don't know where he's going to go. I don't have a clue. I think Mark's got him blocked out. I think he can block him out and beat him back to the line.
Labonte tries to close on Schrader, give him a little aerodynamic shove. Schrader to the inside. Mark Martin brings it down. Mark Martin with his first Daytona victory, winning the Bud Shootout.
Well, that's good. That's great, Mark. Good job, buddy.
Well, that maybe told us something. You get out front, that's the place to be. You said at the top of the show, that's where you wanted to be.
Yeah, dadgummit, it works every time. I wish it didn't, because you might, give Kenny credit. He tried every way he could to break up that strategy, but just out front's where you got to be.
Well, February in Daytona starts the same way it left off last year when Dale Earnhardt held them all off on the final lap. Here's Dick Berggren.
With Jimmy Fennick, and he has just high-fived this entire crew. Well, finally, you guys win a race at Daytona.
I'll tell you, this Valvoline team worked hard all winter long on our plate program, and I think we got a little bit better now. And all the people up in Livonia and Mooresville, the motor guys, we want to thank them too.
How much you got for them next Sunday?
Well, I don't know. Hopefully our other car's going to be a little bit better.
A better car for the Daytona 500. That ought to be something, Mike Joy.
Thanks, Dick. 4 drivers have gone on to win the Daytona 500 the same year they won the shootout. We'll be right back to Daytona.
His best previous finish was a second in 1991. You can no longer say that about Mark Martin, who turns up the winner today with an average speed of 181.745 miles an hour. He started back in the pack at 13th. He led 16 of the 25 laps. There were 5 leaders, 6 lead changes in all. Congratulations to Mark Martin, the winner of the Bud Shootout. Let's go to Victory Lane and Ken Squire. Ken.
The Martins are celebrating down here. Matt, your dad was great, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet your life. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get him out of this race car. After all this effort, 12 times he's come into this event. He wins the Bud Shootout. Mark Martin has done it, led 16 laps. After that stop on pit road, he was indomitable. Great run today. Finally got that monkey off your back.
Man, I had a fast race car today. I tell you what, the pit stop that was the deal. They got me out in front, and we had a fast enough car to stay there. I tell you what, it's really, really hard to get cars that will run that fast at Daytona with a restrictor plate. And it's a lot of horsepower by Jack Roush and all the people, and a lot of body work on this Taurus. And I just want to thank Valvoline and Cummins and Eagle One and all our supporters for everything that they've done. They've hung in here with us for 10, 12 years, and finally we've got a win. Of course, this isn't the major one, but this is the way to start Speed Weeks.
A great way for you to start. 15th Daytona 500 for you. This is your first checkered flag down here. This has got to give you a lift.
Well, it feels good to win. I can't think of a better way to start a season, and these guys have just worked hard. They built a lot of horsepower, and they built me some nice cars, and we can win these things if we got cars that are good enough, that'll run good enough, and we've got one this year. Maybe we'll have a crack at it, but I look forward to the Daytona 500, and I just appreciate all the work that's gone into this.
All of us look forward to watching your performance next Sunday in the Great American Race. Jack Roush here congratulating him. Let's go to Ralph Shaheen.
Standing here with Kenny Schrader, who comes home in second. You were upstairs, but we heard you were having some problems with something leaking out of the back of the car. Did that hinder you?
No, it was coming out behind me. Might have been messing up them other guys. But it messes everybody up. It just slicks the track up. We ran it a little more in qualifying mode than you would in 500 mode. And it wasn't going to go much longer, but it went long enough.
Kenny Schrader comes home in second place.
6 lead changes in this race. 6 lead changes. That's the most since 1993. Pretty good show.
Yeah, it was. And it's kind of the tale of 2 teams, if you will. Jeff Gordon's team seems like they struggle in these kind of races, thinking about the Winston. And then today, Mark Martin excels in these kind of races. You think about his success in the IROC series and winning these special events like this. I'd have to put my money on old Mark right now. That was very impressive.
And Ned, it sure looks like the place to be is with your face to the wind out front.
Yes, it does. That has not been the case in past years here at Daytona. Looking back 5-10 years ago, when you waited for that last lap to make a slingshot pass, as we saw Cale Yarborough do so many times. But now that has changed. If you got a good car like Mark Martin said he had, he got out front on the pit stop and was able to stay there and let them fight it out behind him.
Let's check with Dick Berggren.
Well, Mike Skinner, you had a great run today. Win one of them, 4th of the second one. How was it out there?
Slick. I really wanted another one of them Remington guns, but it just wasn't meant to be for us today. I don't know if we had a set of tires that the air pressure went funny on or whatever, but the car got extremely loose. And in the first race, about 3 or 4 to go, the car got a little bit free, but it was still stuck right on the bottom. And this race here with 10 to go, it was so loose I couldn't drive it. And it was unfortunate because I think we had the strongest, darn sure had the strongest motor. Man, the motor run good. And And, you know, the car was awfully good. Everybody did a great job. The pit stop was awesome once again. Those guys are hot. And my hat's off to them. My hat's off to Lowe's and Richard Childress Racing, Chevrolet. I tell you, it's not been the day we wanted, but it could have been worse.
Were you working by yourself, or did you have any help out there today?
Actually, Kenny and I worked together pretty good, and then my car got real loose, and I had to check up a little bit. And Kenny got around me, and his car was blowing so much oil out that when I try to go in behind him, it'd shove the front wheels and then get loose. And I said, we got a long week ahead of us, so we don't need to wad this car up and, finish a good note on a bad note. So we took what this place would give us today, and we'll come back Thursday and see what we can do in the 125.
And then Sunday in the Daytona 500. Mike Joy?
Well, the wheel-to-wheel portion of Speed Weeks is underway with today's Bud Shootout. And on CBS, you'll see lots more here from Daytona. Saturday at noon Eastern Time, the Napa Auto Parts 300, Dale Earnhardt Jr. begins to defend his Grand National Championship. You'll see that live here on CBS. Followed by coverage of the Gatorade 125s, the twin races that will set the field for the Daytona 500. That's Saturday at 2:30 Eastern Time. And a week from today, the 41st annual Daytona 500, live on CBS as it's been every year since 1979. We'll be back with more from Daytona and the final results of the Bud Shootout right after this word. What a wild one to kick off Speed Weeks. Ned, for the 4th year in a row, the winner in this race has started outside the top 10. Pretty neat.
Which proves you can pass with restrictor plate racing, and Mark Martin come from 13th position. Yes, it was a good race, a lot of passing, a lot of jockeying going on out there, and I think the drivers who were in this race today learned something that they can take to the 125-mile qualifying races on Thursday and then transfer maybe to the Daytona 500.
Darrell, every one of that front 5 capable, every one of that top 10 capable of winning here next Sunday.
Sure, I think that's the whole thing. Tune in next week, folks. The shows get a little longer, but you're going to see the same stars all over again.
You've won the Daytona 500. How big a thrill?
Oh, there's no greater. It's our Super Bowl. I know fans probably get tired of hearing that, but that's about the best thing I can relate it to. You get so many amenities when you win the Daytona 500. Not many races where you get the big Rolex or the big ring or the big check. This year it's $1 million to win this race. I won it 10 years ago. I got $175,000. So the money's there, the prestige is there. It just don't get any better than this. This is all-time great stock car racing.
Well, good luck the rest of this week down there. Let's go to Dick Bergeron down in the garage area.
With Bobby Labonte, who finished 3rd today. You had a car in front of you leaking a little fluid. Did that bother you?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it kind of was on the windshield a lot more than anything. But I think there's more than one. But I mean, that wasn't the big thing. We just, really couldn't get back up there after we kind of lost the draft a little bit. With Jeremy and I raced side by side for a little bit. Could not get back up there to challenge Mark and Schrader. But hey, we had a great day. Our Interstate Pontiac ran good. We had a good pit stop. And once it's kind of like getting the bugs out. First race of the year. So we're happy we came home with a safe race car. Nothing wrong with it, and we can put it in the truck. And hopefully we won't use it this week and take it to Talladega probably.
Did you make any friends today who can help you in the Daytona 500?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I made any enemies, and I'm not sure if I made any friends. But and it might not really matter when you get to the Daytona 500. But we'll see. I think we learned a little bit today.
There we go. Mike Joy.
Well, Ned, a Chevy won the pole for the 500. A Ford won the Bud Shootout today. The Pontiacs are right there. Looks like we've got parity for Speed Weeks.
I think there's parity as far as the brand name of cars are concerned. I think they're very even.
I take it from someone who's driven all 3 this past year. The difference not necessarily is in the bodies themselves. I think the engine combinations are the big difference. Ned was talking about these things drafting by each other down the back. That's where the restrictor plate, it kills the engine right there. So it's just a matter of getting in position and then the guy that can hold them off.
Darrell, Tony Stewart on the outside pole, a Daytona rookie, an accomplished IndyCar racer. Was the garage area shocked as we were up here?
Oh, sure. I mean, I know he ran well in practice, but nobody ever gave him a chance at winning the pole. But that's Bobby Labonte's car, and we know how good that car runs. And they used a good strategy. He has no provisionals. Bobby does, if he needed one. So they had to get Tony up front and get him a good qualifying speed. I think they overdid it.
Well, the front 3 drivers in pole position qualifying yesterday are all USAC open wheel graduates. Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, and that fella Schrader, who was pretty racy there today.
Wow.
Greg Gumbel?
Mike Joy, thank you very much. That wraps this day for us, with much more to come next weekend. For Ken Squire, Mike Joy, Ned Jarrett, Darrell Waltrip, Dick Bergeron, and Ralph Shaheen, I'm Greg Gumbel. So long from the Daytona International Speedway, where Mark Martin has won the 1999 Bud Shootout. Don't forget, next Sunday, beginning at noon Eastern Time, live flag-to-flag coverage of the Daytona 500. And on Saturday, we'll have the Napa Auto Parts 300 and the Gatorade 125s. Coming up next, NCAA men's basketball. Minnesota takes on Michigan, or Army faces Navy. We thank you for joining us, everyone. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports, home of the Daytona 500.